In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you. In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this special edition of the Elite FPL podcast, where not only am I going to be previewing Gameweek 23, this is actually one of two shows that are going to be previewing Gameweek 23, obviously myself now, and obviously tomorrow evening with Jason. I'm going to go into the reason as to why that is the case, but I'm going to ask a quick question to chat. How is my audio right now? Because I'm a bit concerned that my audio over the last, last few streams has been pretty pants, to be honest with you. Yep, I'm not swearing. But I have got a bit of a funny prop, shall we say. But Firetog, thank you. And by the way, Firetog, I just want to say thank you for your donation. I've literally only just seen it on the menu thing that we've got, and I really do appreciate that for the swear jar from the other day, and that's the reason why I have got that up on screen at the moment. Like I said, I'll just quickly go on to that in a second, but yes, this is one of two preview shows this particular game week. Now essentially what you need to know is this, is that due to work commitments, I can't do evening streams anymore. Not literally, but Thursday evenings is an absolute definite. No chance that I'm going to be able to do Thursday evening streams anymore due to work commitments. So I've basically asked Jason, do you have a problem with me doing either Wednesday evening, like now, Thursday morning show, but that would mean having two pods on a Thursday or a Friday? And he just said, just do whatever you want. And to be quite honest with you, this is absolutely ideal for me. 5 p.m, it's nice and early. I believe that it's a pretty decent time for the Australian, South African, Southern Asian audience, Southern Hemisphere fans there, I think. But I think it may be like 5-6 o'clock in the morning over there. I have no idea whatsoever. But yeah, let's just get the elephant out the room, shall we? There's a reason why I've put up the thumbnail of the match of the day challenge for the other day, and just bonkers, just absolute bonkers. I'm not going to lie. I do watch everything back. I do watch the replays. I actually spoke to Dan the other day and I said, you know what I'm seriously thinking of doing? I was actually thinking of doing a members only video where I would quite literally watch the stream back and basically you just watch me laughing at just a lunatic on screen, because I thought it was hilarious. The moment that, let's be honest here, I realised that Sheffield United conceded. They didn't concede, but I didn't know that. And I just basically rage quit. Dan, good evening. Your thoughts on the Match of the Day challenge for our audience? Dan? Okay, Dan seems to have vanished. I bet he's gone and exited the thing, but we'll bring Dan up in a second. But yeah, the actual stream itself I found hilarious, especially at the point, like I said, when I assumed that Sheffield United had conceded, and I essentially just here he is. I don't know why he's left. Let's just bring Dan back in. Dan, we're just talking about the Match of the Day challenge. Good evening. I was just saying about what your thoughts were on the actual event itself.
Good evening, Steve. I lost you about 2 minutes ago. What event are we talking about?
The Match of the Day challenge, the moment that I basically lost it.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously for me, it was a very unique situation because I was in a unique position because I saw you over the weekend and I knew what had happened on the Saturday. And then I spoke to Jason about it on Sunday. So I just couldn't wait for Monday. It's like... And yeah, I think the bit for me that I really liked was when you were watching Sheffield United Crystal Palace, Sheffield United West Ham, sorry, and you thought West Ham had equalised and that cost you points. Because I had the same thing on Friday evening. I was like looking at BBC Sport and it was saying that West Ham had equalised late on, and I was so annoyed because I played Lundstrom. And yeah, it was just funny. I kept wanting to say to the TV, like, Stevo, you've got points. You've got points. Don't worry about it. Henderson's got points. And it's like, people were saying it in chat, but you, for obvious reasons, you weren't looking at chat. And then obviously when you watch, like, Villa get absolutely annihilated by Man City as well. It was just another funny bit as well was when Ings got the winner for Southampton.
The nice tattoo bit.
Yeah, because you see him annoyed, but you're like, oh, actually, that's quite good. And I think that I just creased up laughing like a madman, and I think people in chat, it's just natural reactions, and I think when we're all playing like FPL, we have these moments. Like I remember, this is years ago now, when I think Stoke scored Hoof or somebody scored or Shawcross, and I was going nuts in my living room. My housemate was like, "Don't you support Arsenal? What's this all about?" So yeah, it's just seeing the live reaction of an FPL maniac, basically.
TCFPL, thank you for you've upgraded the membership to the Playmaker, and funny enough, Vince Chapman, I mean, I must admit, Vince Chapman making this point here, have the membership for free, killed me, basically, because for me, how can I say, you've got to understand that I was quite literally off the internet for 4 days. That is no BS. That is absolutely... I mean, you were with me. People may not believe me. And in fact, that was actually the first match... There's only one individual, I'm not going to call them out, but it was the first match of the day challenge that I've done where there was no trolls. It was a miracle, unless the moderators were banning them. But there was no trolling. And... yeah, I legitimately was off the internet between Friday morning up to Monday morning, where I had to do a quick advertisement for everything. And I can't explain how... when I said, like, for example, some of the comments that I saw was like, oh, if Steve-O doesn't give a beep about this game, then why is he doing this, why is he doing that? It's like, but it's the fact that you may be able to add to this actually, Dan, I've given up in the sense of for the cash mini league, but I still care about the transfers that I've done and some of the logical moves I've done, and obviously believing in this case that based on the preview that week that Jason had done, he captained Aguero, and the fact that Aguero went and got a hat-trick and assist. It was just almost like the breaking point for me, where it was just like, what do I have to do? And for some reason... I mean, there is.
No, yeah, sorry, I just had a bit of a connection issue then. I mean, it would be good for you to elaborate on that, Steve. I might pass that back to you because... so obviously you've given up in terms of the cash mini leagues that we're both in, that we take very seriously. I think for a lot of people, I mean, you take FPL very seriously. Obviously, you get very wound up when you're on air, and then you say, "Oh, I don't care about FPL." Is it a case of you put an effort into it, and it's one of those ones where you put so much effort into it, and then you're like, "Look, I don't care anymore." Is that what it is, or
I don't? Well, let's be honest here. This is the truth. I don't put any effort into. This is the crazy thing, really. I don't actually put any effort into FPL. Yes, obviously, I spend a tiny wincy bit of time of looking at. We may even do it later, to be honest with you. I may even just go into a bit of elaboration into specifically what I do from a research point of view. But really, I just take things like what me and you are about to do now, which is the preview, and ironically, the one thing I'm actually... this is the irony, everybody watching this, is that if you're participating in the predictor game on our website, elitefpl.com, it's pointless anybody brand new joining it, but I'm doing really well in it. I'm 7th. And there are certain individuals, off the top of my head, Andy, Resi Desi, Lino is an absolute, here we go, freak of nature. He is number one in that. He's on 166 points. I think he's like 30 points clear of me. And he was 11th in the Super Brew overall ranking league. He was 3rd or 4th in the England league, which is absolutely nuts. And like I say, I pride myself on my predictions, and I remember actually asking Andy about does he use his predictions to help him pick his team, and he actually said no. Whereas in my case, I do. I actually, ironically, I'm doing well at predictions. Now, admittedly, that doesn't mean exact scores correct. It means outcome correct, really. But I actually pride myself on my predictions, and it's the fact that I try and do differentials which are logical within the game. Now, I'm not going to lie, like the one thing that I really, really didn't want to do was get rid of Rashford, but I thought no, because I want Salah for Gameweek 24. So the only way I can fund getting Salah in is by getting rid of an expensive striker. I don't really want Jimenez anymore, and I definitely don't want Ali. So the easiest way is to basically get rid of Ali for obvious reasons. I know Rashford's got Norwich, but you know what? I could risk it just because I thought that Salah was going to do well versus Tottenham. And then, of course, Jimenez. I just thought, I don't really rate him at the moment. And I thought, do you know what? I'll bring in the two strikers that are in form in Calvert-Lewin up against Brighton, who can't keep clean sheets, and Danny Ings, who's just scoring what seems to be every single game week. And let's be honest here, if it wasn't for VAR, Calvert-Lewin probably would have had his goal stood. And am I right in saying that Everton, I can't even remember now, did Everton have a penalty appeal turned down? VAR overruled it, is that right? Or am I going completely nuts? Or was that Southampton?
I think it was Southampton. I can't remember. What I do remember is obviously Everton had a goal disallowed.
That was
Calvert,
yes.
Because Calvert-Lewin, for some reason, he handled it into the net and he didn't do the old.
He shouldered it, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit strange, but yeah, that was the goal. There was quite a few incidents in the Southampton-Leicester game, VAR-wise, but yes, it was Calvert-Lewin that had the goal disallowed.
And you know, Man United, who can't seem to score more than one goal a game. I don't mean that literally, but go and put 4 past Norwich. And like I said, I've got a bit of a prop for Norwich, Burnley, Bournemouth, Aston Villa, and you'll all appreciate what that prop is. But to score 4 past Norwich and Rashford getting 2, just unreal. And then of course it comes to like the Aston Villa game and everything, and all this has just gone. Everything's gone against you, and the fact that I did a -4. And then along comes Aguero, who, let's be honest here, has been in and out of the Man City team over the last few weeks. And all of a sudden, just pops up like that. And it was just like, well, going back a bit actually, the Sheffield United game just built up and up. I was just like, Sheffield United, a team that just don't seem to concede goals. And it comes to the 92nd minute. And what I thought they conceded the goal, I just thought, I just give up. I don't know what to do. And then, of course, what top of it was the fact that Aguero goes and does what he done, and I was just like, I've got to swear, I've got to release something, because me holding everything in, like me doing this podcast now or whatever, and for the people watching this, I don't need to swear because I'm not reacting to anything. But when it comes to reacting to something, oh God, I am so desperately wanting to be like, what the blah 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 blah. You get the idea. And yeah, it's just like I say, I care enough not to make stupid moves. Like sometimes I just think, do you know what, stuff this. I'm going to do a -24 right now and get rid of, just basically rage transfer everybody out. I then sometimes think, hit the wild card. Nope, I don't need to, because the team is fine. But it's just the fact that everything from a cash mini league point of view, which is completely out of my sight, the chance of me getting 4th spot in the cash mini league is 5 million to 1. There's no chance that I'm going to be able to get into the...
Really?
No chance, not in this cash...
Even with all your chips left?
No, because I was listening to... Funny enough, I was listening to your stream with Jason, well, when you came on the Sunday surgery, and you were both discussing briefly my team, and you were saying what chips you got. But Jason made the point, which we always keep banging on about, which is, when am I going to use my chips? And he was thinking, oh, do I use them in double game week 24? And I was like, well, yeah, but everybody else will. My plan all along has been to use it in a single game week, well, actually on the last day of the season, but then I find out that there could be like a Planet FPL made this point that there could be a triple game week, would you believe, Dan, involving you lot, Arsenal and Man City. Yeah, I believe it was a triple game week 37. Would you believe? There's a possible, depending on various cup factors and everything, depending on how far they progress in the FA Cup, Europa League, Champions League, etc. That there could be a triple game week, and I'm thinking, blimey, could you imagine triple captaining someone in that and all this? And the only thing I've got to play for really is the Torbay Elite Mini League. But Dan, I looked at that, and Jack Chater is like, even off Jason, he's 100 off odd points in that. He's storming that, isn't he?
Yeah, he's won the Cash Mini League. I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago now. So he's got quite a good history in the game, and he watches football on a regular basis, and he takes the game very seriously, like we both do. And yeah, he's absolutely storming it this year. And because he had quite a poor year last year, but I'm just looking at his team now. Even the last game week just gone, captain De Bruyne, 18 points, had Rashford, Vardy, Ings. I look at his team and I just feel sick. It's just like, Martial, bit of a differential in there. He's even got like Cantwell, Kelly, Rico on the bench as a backup. So, yeah, he's doing really well. Fair play to him.
Yeah, just to round this up as well for everybody watching this, is that when I am doing the Match of the Day challenge, I believe it was Brew. I believe it was either Brew, Matt Brunton, or John Harris. I really cannot remember, but it was one of the three. And they said this shouldn't be Elite FPL Match of the Day challenge. This should be Gogglebox. And you are quite literally watching someone watch TV for the first time, completely going into it blind. And I said it to you, I'm pretty sure I said this to you on Sunday, and I said to you about, well, you asked me, have I missed the internet? And I went, no, because I don't have any interest in the internet. Well, I don't need the internet for my life whatsoever, barring obviously doing this and various other mini pieces, but I only use the internet as a resource rather than communication. So all really it was a case of just, you don't need your phone to see the scores, so there's your resource there. I don't need it for scores or anything. So that was pretty easy. The difficulty is being a football fan and actually not knowing Burnley's result, not being able, this sounds really bleak and dark, but actually having some form of connection with my dad and actually being able to watch the Burnley game at home. I couldn't even do that. Like he was actually watching the Burnley game at home. Now I wasn't at home, but something that may have brought me and my dad together could have been the fact that we watched Burnley together versus Chelsea. Couldn't even do that. So that's the difficulty of it. And then, of course, again, going on to you, like obviously I met up with you. I'd have loved to have watched Aston Villa versus Man City with you, as an example. And me and you would have done like...
Well, yeah, you'd have got a bar from some pub in Torbay or something. I live here, mate. I've got to go back to these places. Like, I don't want you, like...
In all seriousness, we would have, in all seriousness, like last year, we would have just done like a funny live stream at the break or something. Yes. And just kind of... Because... I know a lot of people, they do actually say this, they're like, oh, is this going to be the end of the Match of the Day challenges and stuff? And it's like, the only reason I do them is because I can personally do them. They're not very difficult. And okay, barring circumstances, I have actually invited you to do it, and you have actually said yes. But due to circumstances, you've unable to do it over the last few. But the point being is that I can do them, but only, if I'm not working on Sunday morning. But due to work commitments, again, I don't do them. And I know how entertaining they are. I'm not I nearly swore then. I'm not stupid. I know that even me watching back, knowing what I know I've said this before and I'll say it again, knowing what the scores are, and then seeing the reaction of me, and not only that, but it's the comments, Dan, that I always find fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You're in that unique position whereby you're doing this Match of the Day challenge, and you obviously can't look at the comments, and then I think the people in comments know that, and they enjoy that even more because they have this devilish thing whereby they know what's coming, and it's that sinister thing of like, rubbing their hands with glee, thinking, right, what's he going to be like when he watches Aston Villa Man City? And I think the chat just love it really, and obviously you can see, particularly when the Danny Ings moment, they were just really enjoying it, and it's great. It's great comedy value, not going to lie.
Yes, so that was last week, and or just a few days ago, and now we move on to this week. Before we get started, let's do a Jason. Let's say hello to a few people that are in chat that are joining us. Sultan Saeed, congratulations, mate. Second in the Elite Cash Mini League. An absolutely extraordinary game week for you. I heard you on Jason's stream just a minute ago. It's going to sound really weird. I've only just listened back to the Sunday surgery. I've just been catching up with everything and really, really enjoyed what you were saying, especially the fact that you're not thinking of going with Salah. You're thinking of going with Robertson now for your to fulfil your triple up there. Tobias, great to have even more Elite on. Yep, all I can say is that the fact that I'm going to be doing a lot more solo streams means that there's going to be even more Elite FPL. That's as simple as it gets. There will be. Cameron A, Cy Bellamy's here. Josh A, Fantasy Football Focus is here. Hello. Daniel Amara, Lewis Kirby. Lewis, you were on obviously with Jason as well. Firetogs here. Shane 24, both Egan, Bilal, many more. George B. I could be on FPL B0. I know was in the Hangouts just a minute ago. Again, one of the great things about the Discord community and just the Elite FPL community is people like Boona, Davey P, Vince Chapman, etc. They'll be in the Hangouts wanting to talk anything really. Fruit Loops, welcome. Obviously, I've just mentioned Vince Chapman there. Daniel Nash. TCFPL, who's just upgraded his membership and enjoyed the sweary ones. Well, they're all sweary ones. Muaz, welcome. Harbour Boy, Bruce here. Manchester Reds. Here we are. Manchester Reds is here. Shano83. And there are many more. Good evening, everybody. Like I said, myself. Oh, my man, Dylan's here. Well. Good evening, man. Here he is, and here is One Rovers vlog as well. So yes, what me and Dan are going to be doing is previewing Gameweek 23. But if you enjoyed our chat that we had on New Year's, when was it? New Year's Eve, Dan, or New Year's Day? I can't remember. But either way, myself and Dan, we do like to go on a bit of a discussion point. Well, basically, I just let Dan talk. I'll focus on the chat and everything, and Dan can speak in depth about each game and everything. We'll give our predictions, what we think. I've also gone and done the history again. The history's back. The history is back. Blimey, we've got a super chat from... And FPL Aguero was on here the other day as well with Sunday Surgery. He's just donated $20. You really didn't have to do that, pal, but thank you for that. Maybe that was the $20 that you could have won on putting it on Aguero getting a hat-trick. Maybe that was part of a very large win that he had there. Thank you for that donation. I really do appreciate that, pal. And really nice to hear you back on. It was 3 o'clock in the morning, Dan. That's another thing, Dan, as well. The fact that people watch this live from all over the world and just get invested in what we do.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, obviously you and Jason stream at all sorts of different times, all sorts of different days, and all the coverage of the matches live. And yeah, I suppose it an FPL was like a worldwide game. You got over 6 million people in the world playing it, and when you just take a step back and look at it and think like there's people literally from all parts of the world into the Elite FPL community, it's bonkers, really.
Absolutely. So yes, like I said, I've gone through the history. I've gone through the 5 most popular captain choices that are on the Fantasy Football Scout poll. Just to let people know, that's Kevin De Bruyne who's leading it. Then it's Aguero, Sterling, Vardy, and it was Kevin De Bruyne, then Vardy, then Aguero, Salah, and Sterling. They're the top 5. You'll be pleased to know what the certain history says about 2 of those players, but we'll get onto that in a minute. Essentially, myself and Dan, we're going to crack on with it now. I'm going to bring up on the screen what the specific fixtures are, and then me and Dan can start talking it. So Dan, we're kicking off with Watford, a resurgent Watford up against Spurs, who just look, God, they're looking terrible.
Yeah, I mean, Tottenham obviously beat Middlesbrough 2-1 last night. I watched the first half of that game. Relatively comfortable, but got a bit uncomfortable in the second half. And as you say, Watford under Nigel Pearson beating Man United. and smashing Bournemouth 3-0. I had Sarr and Foster in my team on my wild card, so I was pleased with that from an FPL perspective. Tottenham have signed Gedson Fernandez today on loan for 18 months, so they've boosted their squad up a little bit. But I think it'll be obviously a London derby and a tough game. I see this one. I think it could be a high-scoring draw. I'm going to go 2-2.
You think it's going to be a high-scoring draw? You see, I think it's the complete opposite. I think this is going to be a really, really tight game. I think Watford, again, I'm no expert in any of these teams whatsoever. It's just based on what I'm seeing. Watford are putting up some very sturdy defences here, and don't get me wrong. I actually think that. That Watford are going to lose this, would you believe? Only because of Tottenham's quality. I think that Spurs' quality will shine through. They beat Middlesbrough, was it 4-1 in the Cup? And I think they're going to edge this 2-1. A few people in chat going, Vince Chapman saying 2-1 to Watford. Shano, he's a bit struggling here, 1-1 or 2-1 to Watford. Tobias 1-1, Harbour Boy 1-0 Watford. Not many Spurs fanboys here. Youssef and FPL Aguero 2-1, 3-1 to Spurs. Our man Dylan saying 3-1 Spurs. But yeah, there's just something about Spurs, Dan, that doesn't bring me with confidence. They just don't seem at it.
Yeah, it was 2-1, not 4-1.
It was 2-1, was it?
Yeah.
I was confusing it with Newcastle, sorry.
Yes, Newcastle beat Rochdale 4-1, didn't they? But Lo Celso looks quite tasty last night, and he did sort of have an impact against Liverpool last Saturday, although he did miss a bit of a sitter. So that could be an interesting one. I know that Spurs have got Norwich in double game week 24 as well, so it's quite easy to overlook those single game week players in a double game week. But yeah, I mean, Spurs started well under Mourinho, then they've had a bit of a drop. But yeah, you've got to think they've got to sort of turn things around at some point. But I just think I'll stick to my guns. I think it will be either 1-1 or 2-2. I'm going to say 2-2 on this occasion. Obviously, Spurs still without Harry Kane.
Yeah, he's apparently out for the season.
Oh, really?
Well, that's some of the reports coming out that he could be out for the season. I mean, delving away from Spurs for a second, I know you're a huge England fan. How do you think that's going to affect England? Do you think actually this could be for the good, with the fact that players like Vardy and Ings are in such a great form, of course, along with Abraham, but specifically Ings and Vardy?
Well, I mean, Vardy's obviously retired from international football, but maybe Southgate will be looking at it and trying to persuade him to come back for the Euros. But I mean, Kane being out is a massive blow for England. It can't be a good thing at all. I mean, in terms of style of play as well. I mean, Ings, Vardy have got a sort of similar style of play, and I think Abraham would be more of a like-for-like replacement for Kane in terms of how they set up with Rashford and Sterling or Sancho, and Kane's normally at the sort of focal point of that, and Abraham could do a similar role, like a tall, strong striker. But yeah, it's not bad for Spurs, and it's bad for England, unfortunately.
Now then, we move on to your lads. It's Arsenal. Just to let everybody know that what I've done actually is I've done what the form is suggesting. The form is based on the last three outcomes for the teams, either at home or away, and the form is suggesting a 2-1 victory to Watford. So moving on to Arsenal versus Sheffield United. Sheffield United just don't look like they will ever lose, only if they play essentially Man City or Liverpool. They're away at you lot. How are you feeling regarding this particular game?
Tough game, mate. Tough game. Really respect Sheffield United, and obviously they beat us in the reverse fixture. Really well organised team. We're without Aubameyang, of course, because of that challenge on Max Meyer on Saturday. That horrid challenge. It was deserving of a red card, in my opinion, and obviously got that. And Yeah, it's gonna be a frustrating game. I think Sheffield United will sit quite deep and then look to hit us on the counter attack, and they've got a very, well organised team. Um, we've been doing well under Arteta, but I think this could be. Oh man, I'm gonna go 1-0 to the Arsenal like the good old George Graham days, but I'm not feeling that confident. I mean, obviously still got Lundstrom, possibly playing. I don't know. It's gonna be a very tough game.
A few people are going with 1-1. So Charlie One Rovers
Yeah,
Vlog,
I was thinking that
Shano83.
as well.
Clement LaRue is thinking 1-0 Sheffield United. The Don 2-0 Sheffield United. I don't think Sheffield United can actually score goals, but Youssef saying 2-1 Arsenal. Tobias 1-1. Armand Dillon 1-1. Vince Chapman, your mate there, 1-0. Lewis Kirkby 1-1. So they're all thinking it's going to be a very, very tight game indeed. I'm a bit more optimistic for you, Dan. I think that again, it's a bit like the Watford game against Spurs. I think you're gonna come through this pretty comfortably, to be honest with you. Not in the sense. I think the scoreline, will be representing a comfortable victory, but I think your class will shine through. I think 2-0. Question for you regarding Arsenal, of course. Mikel Arteta has pretty much come out and said, no, I have nothing to say about John Stones. But John Stones, of course, has been mentioned potentially to your team. Obviously, Arteta's denied it, but would he be an improvement for your defence? Would you take him?
I know Arsenal have had a lot of French managers and players, but I didn't realise Arteta was French as well. So that impression, but, I mean, when I heard this yesterday, I was just God, because I don't really rate Stones at all, and that is, going back to the England stuff, like the Nations League last summer, when he made a big mistake against the Netherlands in the semi-final. He did have a good World Cup. Don't get me wrong, he did have a good World Cup, but let's be honest, Mandzukic got in because of his mistake. But, if a centre-back makes a mistake, it's do or die. So, very comfortable on the ball, technically very good. Wants to get, wants to get in that Euro 2020 squad. So maybe a loan would be good. But let's look at it this way. Like, Fernandinho's playing centre-back, and he's getting in the first team. John Stones is a centre-back, and he isn't. But looking at it full circle, like, I guess a loan move, it wouldn't be the worst thing. He is kind of suited to our style of play. Ironically, Luiz has been playing really well last few games, apart from his free kick. But and he does occasionally, from set pieces, he's certainly a threat. Gets the occasional goal. It would be okay. I wouldn't be really overly happy with it, as you can tell. But realistically, in the January transfer window, it's all loans and I don't know who else better we could get really. But yeah, I'm not massively happy about it if it happened.
The form isn't going to be going in your it's going to give you a point. The form is suggesting a 1-1 draw. In fact, I'll ask you this. What is going on with the fact that you just can't seem to win at the Emirates? The Emirates used to be an absolute, let's be honest here, it genuinely was a fortress. Like, that was the only place you seemed to be able to get your wins across the season. In fact, you would argue that you'd almost win every single game at the Emirates and just lose every game away. Not literally, of course, but what's happened over the past few weeks? Or few months, in fact.
United 2-0. We beat Leeds 1-0 in the Emirates recently. But obviously before that, Unai Emery, the bad run of form, crowd sort of turned on him. It went negative, toxic, and all that malarkey. And there was just been a lot of games this season where we've been in winning positions and throwing the games away. Wolverhampton, obviously that's a tough game. Palace, we were 2-0 up, drew to all, lost at home to Brighton as well. And lost at home to Frankfurt in the Europa League. That was the game that cost Emery his job ultimately. That was the tip of the iceberg. So I think, that negative atmosphere from the fans and stuff, that breeds onto the players, and the Emirates just doesn't seem as much of a fortress as it's been over the last 2 seasons. But, with Arteta in charge, some good performances at home. Hopefully beat Sheffield United, but the 1-1 was the score that passed into me. I mean, Kolasinac if we go back to FPL terms, has been doing quite well attacking wise recently. So probably wouldn't be investing in him, but let's just see for fixtures once we get some of these tough games out of the way. Could be one potentially to watch.
You thought? I mean, you could apply this to any team really, but just for conversation purposes, Clement LaRue making the point that Arsenal is under pressure from the fans. They clearly make their feelings known after a bad result. That's stating the blinking obvious, but based on social media and obviously Arsenal fan TV and everything, it does appear that your fans are more popularised through the negativity and stuff. And does this feed into the Emirates Stadium?
Yeah, I think it. I mean, whenever I've been there, the atmosphere is not the best. I mean, if you like the United game, the atmosphere seemed like it was really positive and upbeat because it was a big game and it was a New Year's Day. But when it's games against teams like smaller middle teams, teams that you expect them to beat, and if they're getting frustrated, I think the fans tend to turn on them, and there's just that sort of. It's not like they're just not getting behind the team enough at home, whereas away they're always very vocal. So, but in terms of AFTV and things like, I know a lot's been said about that recently, but I just think at the end of the day, my feelings on it, it's a platform to allow fans to talk, like Elite FPL is a platform for fans to talk about fantasy football, and it's a community, and AFTV just represents like the working class fans, gives them a voice, and I just think the mainstream media, like likes to talk sport, they don't particularly like it because they're the success of AFTV and they can't really rival it. So at the end of the day, fans got a right to express their views. Arsenal fans, I don't go to games on a regular basis, but they're paying the most expensive prices for season tickets around, so they're going to be frustrated, and if they're not seeing that reinvestment on the pitch, then they're going to be even more annoyed.
Absolutely. Now, I don't know if you're able to get to a screen, Dan. If you can, by all means, if you're able to watch this next bit. But I'm going to be producing a prop, everybody, for you to see, because we bring up the first one that's required for this. Is Brighton versus... For anybody listening on audio, I've basically put out a piece of paper which basically says bunch of beep 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 clowns. It's Brighton versus Aston Villa. Just in my eyes, just a joke of a team. They can't seem to keep clean sheets. Yeah, there's nothing more I can say. Just a bunch. They seem to be able to beat us though. But then again, we are one of those clowns. So don't worry, I'll be putting that up for when we come up later on versus Leicester. But yes, it's Brighton versus Aston Villa. Brighton seem to be plodding along. I think that Brighton should win this, and I think they will win this 2-1. Aston Villa, they've now got Pepe Reina, would you believe? Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a bit of a nostalgic throwback. Obviously, he left Liverpool, I think it was like 6 years ago now or something like that. And he's been at Napoli, he's been at Bayern Munich, he's been at AC Milan, and now he's at the Villa. So, yeah, obviously they need a goalkeeper. Heaton's out injured and need experienced goalkeeper. So, yeah, good loan signing for Aston Villa, really. But I don't think Pepe Reina could have helped on Sunday with all those goals that went in. But, yeah, I mean, Villa's struggling. Their confidence is going to be shot after that game. Brighton had a narrow defeat at Everton. Have been good at home this season. Mupai is an interesting one, potentially for this game week. But, yeah, I'm going to go Brighton to win. And I think it'll be closer because Villa will want to have some sort of reaction. But I'm going to go for 2-1 to Brighton.
Man Dillon's actually going the other way. I don't know where he sees this result from. 2-1 to Aston Villa. I mean, I don't know if you've seen Aston Villa's away record, but it's absolute shambles, to be honest with you. Although, like I said, they beat us at our place. But then again, we're another. Here we go. We are another. Once I can move that out of the way. Remember, Burnley are Yeah, so that doesn't surprise me whatsoever. Various other people quite on the Brighton's side here. Brighton 3-1. Youssef saying Christophe Deneau 3-0 Brighton. The Don 2-1 Villa. Gabriel De Rop 3-1 to Brighton. Quite a high scoring game for Brighton fans and everything. And you mentioned the Mopé there. Clement Roux making the point that he hopes Mopé comes good in this particular fixture. Of course, obviously Daily Lama was somebody that actually brought Mopé in as a permy fixture in his team for the foreseeable future. He started off well this season, but he's not as consistent as we were hoping for. Your thoughts on Mopé?
Yeah, I mean, decent striker. He'll never replace Glenn Murray in my heart, but he has replaced Glenn Murray in reality. And came with a good scoring record. Like you said, he's not been overly consistent to be reliable as an FPL asset, but this fixture is favourable. And if you've got him in the team, I can see him returning this game week. Basically, he has looked dangerous. I'm pretty sure he scored against us, but I think everyone seems to be scoring against us under Unai Emery's reign. Decent punt, to be fair.
Matt D's saying here that he's decent, but I think Ings is better for the price bracket. Well, Matt, I'm afraid to tell you that Ings is actually £1 million more than Mopé's. In fact, I think he's 1.1 more, if not 1.2 now, if he's had a price rise or anything. Our man Dylan's saying that, so you think Brighton will concede. Is there any point in getting Matt Ryan or a Brighton defender? So obviously he may be thinking that Brighton's a potential team to look at from a defensive point of view. Your thoughts on that?
I think Villa can score. I mean, you've got Grealish with so much creativity, still a good asset, still performing fairly consistently. So all I'm saying is that I think Villa will have some kind of a reaction, and with Grealish they can always be dangerous, but it's just defensively they're struggling. So I think Brighton will concede this game week, but Brighton will finish on top, really.
The form is going 3-1 to Brighton. Now then, on to the first of captaincy choices. We've got Manchester City in a 3 p.m. kickoff up against Crystal Palace. Now, Crystal Palace are no mugs. Now, I'm not going to lie, I do think that was an absolute anomaly. I think that Man City caught Aston Villa easily on an off day. However, I do think that Man City are going to come out on top of this pretty comfortably. And I'm saying 3-0, Dan.
Yeah, well, it was the game, obviously, last season whereby Palace won. That was the game. I don't know if you remember this. I used to have my dead cert bet. Where I bet on a dead cert every game week. And that was the game that burst the bubble, because Palace, on the counter-attack, I mean, watched them against us on the weekend, and AU and obviously Zaha weren't so, they were rarely quiet, but they're always dangerous on the break. But Palace have got injuries, and the way Man City performed last weekend, like you say, I think it'll be relatively straightforward. I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to go for 4-1 to Manchester City. I don't really predict clean sheets, do I? But I'm going to go 4-1 to Man City.
We've got a lot of clean sheets here. Gabriel De Rop 3-0, Firetalk 3-0, Matt D going 2-1, James Carson 4-0, Youssef saying 4-0 Man City, Christophe Deneau 3-0, a lot of 3-0s here and everything, and Super Chat Aguero FPL Aguero saying he's going to super chat to basically destroy Liverpool fanboys' rank again, and 5-0 he's thinking there. Blimey, Tobias going with De Bruyne captain. Well, we'll find out the history in a minute. Talking of players, Dan, if you were to choose a captain from this particular game, who would you stick the armband on?
Well, I did it last night, mate. Kevin De Bruyne is my captain.
Well, sorry, I should have actually clarified. If you could have any player from the Man City team, who would you captain?
Oh,
Sorry, I should have clarified that.
No, that's fine. Do you know what? I'd probably go for Mahrez, actually, because he's been an informed player over like the last 5 game weeks or so, and we were saying about getting up the rankings, getting up the cash mini leagues, taking a risk. I think it's got to that point of the season now where I'm, like you said, not caring but caring enough to want to just take a risk.
Not to sabotage your team, yeah.
It's not. I mean, it's not sabotage. I mean, like Mahrez has been, he got a couple of goals on Sunday, and it's just annoying that I've done my wild card and I'm like, would love to get him in. But yeah, it would be Mahrez actually.
Well, there's quite a few people saying Sterling, and Aman Dillon and Vince Chapman making the point about the history. Well, maybe this will turn your head, Dan. So Aguero, he's only had 2 starts and made 2 sub-appearances versus Crystal Palace. And he got both of his returns in one game, in a 5-0 win, which was 1 goal, 1 assist. Now, Kevin De Bruyne and Sterling, at the moment, Kevin De Bruyne is leading the Fantasy Football Scout poll. Kevin De Bruyne, 5 starts, 1 sub-appearance, 2 goals, 4 assists. A couple of those returns were in a 2 assists and 1 goal in a 5-0 victory. He got 2 assists in another game. But this is the big one, as Aman Dillon and Vince Chapman made the point that Sterling, 5 starts, 1 sub-appearance, 5 goals, 1 assist. Do you think Sterling starts this weekend?
Yes, I do think he starts. I think most people, if they're kind of following like a template at the moment, if you've got Mane and Salah in your midfield already, it's just very difficult to fund or to get Sterling in at the moment. And obviously because he didn't start last week against Villa, that security of starts of a premium asset makes you worry. But if you have got him in your team, who somehow managed to get him in your team, then it's definitely worth a go given that history. I didn't know all that, to be fair. So and I guess from his point of view as well, be thinking, well, hold on a minute. I haven't been starting much recently. I need to make my point and get back in the team. So, yeah.
Well, talking of Sterling, Matt Henley making the point that maybe Sterling will be less wasteful in front of goal and more hungry now he knows his spot isn't so safe.
Yeah, definitely. That's why Pep Guardiola does this. He's got the luxury of his squad that he's got, the players that is able to select, apart from the defensive injuries. And yeah, I think definitely that's why he does it. Keeps the competition and keeps the players keen. It was interesting what he said about Riyad Mahrez. He said he's got no muscles, so he's not likely to get injured, which was a bit of a strange comment. I know he's not the most physically imposing player, but that doesn't seem to matter. But yeah, I think Sterling will be out there to prove a point, really.
Ryan Seachin is regarding to keep talking to Sterling here. Ryan's saying that he's going to be captaining Sterling before he takes him out. Is it worse? Is it just worth just putting the captaincy for that one last hurrah?
Go for it. And if it doesn't work out, don't come back to me.
Here we go. By the way, the form is suggesting a 3-0 victory. Oh, Geordie, Kev is here. Welcome, Geordie, Statman.
Yes.
Evening, my friend. You're more than welcome to come live on air after me and Dan have finished going through the fixtures. It's nice to have special guests that don't normally come on due to time differences. But anyway, moving on to evening, Robert Dinsmore. Evening, pal. Moving on to, well, this applies to both of them, but on to the next fixture, which is Norwich versus Bournemouth. Absolute, they're just awful, I mean, I remember in the in the match of the day challenge when it was about Aston Villa when they conceded 6 goals, I was just like, awful. they're terrible. Just both of them are just shocking. But Norwich, I understand. They just don't seem to have the resources, and let's be honest here, the team isn't quite good enough for the Premier League standards, shall we say? And maybe again, I'll ask you now. Again, I'm not proclaimed to be an expert on Norwich. Do you think Daniel Farke, FPL Penguin, is a bit too attacking in this game in the Premier League, or do you just think that they're just not good enough? Full stop.
It kind of worked for them early in the season. I mean, they drew.
But don't you think that's because not many teams know how to work them out because they're all brand new to the Premier League, and then several game weeks later, it's like, oh, it's not actually that difficult to beat them after all. Or well, that's my thinking anyway.
Well, they seem like, I think they're just going for it, and they're playing their attacking football, and they beat Man City, they drew with us, and had some other decent results. But like you say, they've kind of been found out a little bit. They got the away victory at Everton. They seem to rise their game. Their game seems to rise against the bigger teams, so to speak. But yeah, like you say, they've been found out a few times defensively, and they've had a few shockers. But Campbell's always had some good returns this season. The Pookie party seems ages ago now, but yeah, I don't know. I think Norwich, it's just a stretch too far for them, unfortunately. But credit to them for giving it a go so far.
We got a lot of
that sounded really disparaging or like demeaning, but yeah, what I'm trying to say is at least they're playing attacking football and giving it a go. That's what, playing in a positive manner.
Absolutely, yeah. We got Charlie saying 1-0 to Norwich. Youssef 3-2 to Norwich. Goals galore. Auto closer. Now, I wouldn't surprise me if it does end 0-0. What was the game again? I can't remember what it was, but I think it may have been. It was Norwich versus Aston Villa, where Daily Lama, of course, was corresponding from that game, and it ended in the most drabbest of... was that 0-0? Was that right, Dan? At the Christmas time, Boxing Day or New Year's Eve, if I remember?
Remind me which game it was, sorry?
Aston Villa versus Norwich. It was 0-0, wasn't it?
I can't
I'm pretty sure it was, because all I remember is Daily Lama was just like, what on earth am I doing here? But anyway, Fire Talk going 2-0. A lot of Norwich wins here. A Man Dillon 2-1, Fire Talk 2-0. The Don 1-0 in a ball fest for Norwich. 2-2, FPL Aguero is saying. We always used to say that Bournemouth was your former local team. What's gone wrong there? They are just dropping and dropping and dropping.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite sad to see. I mean, I had some good returns from the Watford players on Sunday.
And
but
sorry to interject before you carry on. Do you think that Bournemouth will fire Eddie Howe? Do you think Eddie Howe will quit? And just to clarify, it was 1-0 to Aston Villa in the end. But yeah, what do you think is going to be happening to Eddie Howe? Because can they afford to drop out the Premier League? In fact, someone asked, it was Gabriel Derop, I'm sure it was, that asked about how the book was. Well, the book that I'm reading is essentially about how the money has ruined football. And one of the points that was brought up was that, everybody in the Premier League seems to be just thinking about the money rather than actually going for titles or cups, trophies, whatever, progressing in various tournaments. And actually dropping out of the Premier League isn't such a bad idea. And maybe he's a Middlesbrough fan as well, and he always said that he hated going in the Premier League because they'd always lose every single game. But now they're in the Championship, it's nice actually seeing them actually win some matches. But do you think it could be good for Bournemouth to drop out the Premier League and into the Championship and actually bring some positivity back and maybe go up with Eddie Howe? Or do you think Eddie Howe is now just his time's up?
I think Eddie Howe's in trouble, to be honest with you. I mean, he's been in charge since I think it's like 2008, basically, apart from like a brief stint at Burnley, your team. And I love Eddie Howe and what he's done, and but there's not much room for sentiment in football. If you remember when Claudio Ranieri was sacked the season after Leicester City won the Premier League, and then Claude Puel came in, and then they picked it up all of a sudden. And Bournemouth, it took them such a well, it's such a major thing for the town for them to get in the Premier League. I think, it could be a case of the board look at it and think, can't be sentimental anymore. We've got to get a new manager in just to keep them up. And I think a big problem for Bournemouth is like Callum Wilson and Fraser, these players that were performing so well last season, particularly in FPL terms, just haven't turned up. And it's just, and defensively as well, they're really poor. They just need to make some, I don't know, really make some good signings. But then some of their major players like Ake have been linked with moves to like Chelsea and Arsenal. So I do fear for Bournemouth, unfortunately. And I think in this particular game, I think Norwich are going to win. I think they're going to win 2-1. Feels a bit depressing saying that, but yeah, 2-1 to Norwich.
2-1 to Norwich. I think they're just going to cancel each other out. I was thinking to myself, do you know what? I bet this ends 0-0. G-Wiz making the point, didn't Norwich and Bournemouth end 0-0 this particular? I'm sure it did actually. End 0-0 this season as well. And Charlie making the point, Eddie Howe has done amazing things from being in League Two, playing against teams like his own Bristol Rovers, and then of course coming to the Premier League and playing Liverpool and Man City, but his time is running out. Moving on to what did you say? Sorry, the score will be 2-1 to Norwich.
I'm going to change it. I'm going to go 2-1 Bournemouth.
Okay. Well, so I don't actually think. I think they're just going to cancel each other out, and I think it's going to end 1-1. That's also what the form is suggesting. The form is suggesting a 1-1 draw as well. Talking of rejuvenated teams like with Watford, we move on to Southampton. Southampton, a team in which, of course, they just seem to be slowly getting their results together now. They had that cracking win at Leicester, who I think the wheels are coming off now. But we'll get on to them in a minute. And they're up against Wolves. They're going to be playing Man United tonight in the FA Cup. And that's going to be another draw. That's another thing as well. Sorry, just slightly off topic, Dan. But we got, for instance, Wolves, Man United tonight. And teams like this, they always come out saying that, oh, God, these matches are such an inconvenience. We don't want to replay. So why do you play for a draw then? Why don't you both go for it? Do you know what I mean? It really frustrates me. Now, don't get me wrong, tonight can end up 3-2 in the most incredible game whatsoever. But does that not frustrate you, Dan, when these managers come out saying that they don't want to replay, and yet they seem to set up in from both sides, a relatively defensive way in which they don't want to win?
Yeah, I think like when you look at it, you just go for it, really. And I don't really have any sympathy when clubs say, "Oh, we don't want this, we don't want that." Just if you want to rotate your players, but don't disrespect it. As you know, I'm quite a traditional person when it comes to the cup competitions and growing up with the FA Cup and everything else. And yeah, just respect the cup and put out a good team and go for it and try and win a trophy. I mean, it is interesting when you hear fans talking about it and they're like, "Oh, but it doesn't." It's not. They almost just seem like, "Oh, it's not important because it's not loads of money." But it's like these are the things that you remember as time goes on. And I'll just go to that Man United Wolves game tonight. I think Wolves have got a few players out. Bolly's out, Jota's out. I think United will win tonight. I think even though Wolves have got a good record against Man United, I think they'll just edge that one. And I'm going to go 2-1 to Man United in the cup game tonight, just as a prediction for you.
A lot of people regarding this specific game, Southampton Wolves, a lot of them going with 2-0 to Southampton. James Carson, Yassine, the Don, Armand, Dillon, all going 2-0. Charlie saying 2-1. Fire Dog thinking, is it time for a Danny Ings brace? 2-1 to Southampton. Do you agree with this statement by Robert Dinsmore? Saints can get Europe in his opinion? There we are.
Wow. I mean, come on, man. Like, a few months ago they were getting... But, I mean, they've turned the season around. The manager's done brilliant there. I'm not going to try and pronounce his name, but I think this game it will be a draw. I'm going to go 1-1. But tell you what, Southampton's fixtures are looking really good over the next 6 or 7 game weeks. And in terms of Danny Ings, it's like, it sounds nuts saying this, but every game week I've said to myself, but he can't keep scoring, can he? And I just keep repeating that in my head. Oh, he can't keep scoring though, can he? But if like the game against Leicester, when he was like hitting the
he could have got
he
could have got 3 or 4.
He could have got So and defensively they've really tightened up as well. So I am going to go for a draw in that game. I think it will be a close, tight game. But this is the frustrating thing with my wild card. And it's peeing me off thinking about it. I will keep the language down, but I am thinking about taking a -4 to get Ings in it. It's so annoying doing a wild card and then doing a -4 after. But as I said, the situation with my team was that I had Heaton injured, had Kane injured, Mora, who you couldn't rely on. He just runs into blind alleys. Zaha, who just doesn't seem that interested this season. So I just had to get rid of injury and dead wood, and I couldn't really afford to take a big points hit. Rant over.
Dara Brosnan is regarding this particular fixture, and we've already covered the other game regarding the particular player. He's simply asking, who would you start out, Traore or Lundstrom? I mean, I've gone Traore just, let's be honest here, for his attacking ability. And the fact that, let's be honest here, Southampton aren't that great defensively. Yes, they're showing a bit of form, but I think anybody can score against Southampton. When I think Southampton, I don't think clean sheets, basically. Lundstrom, on the other hand, away at Arsenal, I personally don't see him doing anything there. Your thoughts on that particular query, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I've still got both of those players in my team, actually. I've got Traore, and I'm just not convinced by Traore. Like, the only team he seems to score against is Man City. It just seems to be like Man City. But if you were going to press me on it, I would say maybe give Traore another game week just to see how he does because of his attacking ability from time to time. But yeah, that's the player that I'm considering getting rid of for a hit to get Ings in, really, in this particular game week.
Well, talking of Ings, Statman making the point there, I'd love to do Rashford to Ings this particular game week, but Man United's fixtures after this, after Liverpool obviously, are just too good, and I hope he doesn't finish. Now, Charlie's obviously somebody famous that was bringing in players, albeit for hits, but it doesn't really matter. The point being, he was bringing in players because of their the better fixture or whatever. Would your advice to Snapman be, where I'm thinking off the top of my head, which is maybe just for this 1 week do Rashford to Ings and then maybe bring Rashford back, or do you just think, no, just stick with Rashford?
I think stick with Rashford, yeah, really, for the moment, because he's been in such great form. You know, obviously he did it against Norwich. You know, it's not outside the realms of possibility that he could do something against Liverpool as well. Seems to be fairly fixture-proof. So I would, yeah, in that case, I would stick with Rashford.
The form is... Oh, I haven't actually said my prediction. I'm going 2-1 to Southampton. I think they'll just edge out Wolves. And the form, though, is saying 1-1. Obviously, Dan went 1-1. Moving on to West Ham versus Everton. Losing 1-0 to Sheffield United. Can I just ask, while we're here, I don't actually know what happened. Why was the Declan Rice goal ruled off?
It was, I think it was Snodgrass, actually, though. It was ruled off for... It was Declan Rice. It was a handball, apparently, but it didn't look very deliberate to me whatsoever. And lots of people said that it didn't look deliberate, but that was their interpretation of the law. I'm sure Jason would probably be able to elaborate more on this particular law, but it seemed very harsh, actually, because there wasn't really much Declan Rice could have done. But yeah, that was the reason for it. So yeah, it did seem like West Ham were robbed a bit, really.
Well, do you think they're going to get robbed in this particular game? Everton, they seem to be a lot more defensively sound. Their last 2 home games have ended 1-0. Away from home, I don't actually know what's actually happened, but the point being is that I just think that West Ham at the London Stadium just don't seem to be able to get anything to put together a win. And I really do think that Everton are going to frustrate them, and I think it's going to be 1-0 to Everton, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, I've still got Sidibe, sorry, and Calvert-Lewin. Like you said, they got, a clean sheet against Brighton, got back to winning ways after that dire result at Liverpool in the FA Cup against the Kids. West Ham struggling a bit. West Ham have actually re-signed Randolph, I think his name
Yeah,
is.
that's right. Yeah.
The keeper.
Is he
Because obviously,
eligible to play?
I believe so, yes. Unless someone in chat can correct me, I do believe that he's eligible to play because they've got this goalkeeping crisis. So, but yeah, that aside, I think Everton will get the win. I think it's going to be 2-0 to Everton, and Calvert-Lewin is going to get both goals and prove me wrong that he's not a BTEC Walcott.
Yeah, I heard you say that the other day. Do you want to just expand on that, or were you being facetious?
I was being a bit facetious. I mean, obviously I benched him, so perhaps I shouldn't be so harsh on him because he didn't do my points any damage that particular game week. But just seems to get in a lot of good positions and miss the target. I was being a bit facetious with that. I hope he returns this game week and forgives me.
Jason's here. Good evening, Jason. He says that the law regarding the handball says any goal scored or created with the use of the hand or arm will be disallowed, even if it is accidental. The Don Shano going 1-0 to Everton. Christophe Demure, Everton to win 2-0. Fire Tog, Armand Dillon 2-1. Ryan thinks that West Ham versus Everton is a banker of a draw. I've gone 1-0 to Everton. And sorry, Dan, you said it was going to be what? Sorry, 2-0.
Yeah, 2-0 to Everton.
Again, the form is suggesting 1-1 again. Now then, moving on to injury hit Newcastle. They're at home to Chelsea. Now, Newcastle's home form isn't actually that bad, especially against the top 6 teams. Now, again, I don't have a clue specifically what the statistics are, but they just seem to up their game versus top 6 teams. They're at home to Chelsea, but Newcastle have got a lot of injuries. I personally think this is going to be 2-1 to Chelsea. They've just beaten Rochdale 4-1. Almiron, the new man, seems to be scoring for fun now. Your thoughts on this particular game, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was a nice win in the cup, but Rochdale were kind of trying to play like Barcelona in their own box, and
oh, really?
some of the goals were just comical. Like one of the goal that Almiron scored. I mean, every team seems to be playing out from the back. I know Borough did it. I know Borough are a championship, but they did it for the first goal last night, where they were. It was just. It is the way to play football. I understand, obviously, understand why teams do it, but some teams just don't have the capability to do it. But anyway, that point aside, I think, like you said, Newcastle at home, later kick-off, up against the big team. They do seem to rise up to the occasion, but I think Chelsea will have too much. Be interesting to see what Hudson-Odoi, your mate, Hudson-Odoi does in this game. If he comes off or he starts, I don't know, but he had an impact against Burnley. He's obviously a very talented player. I think, I'm going to steal your score, mate. Sorry, I'm going to go 2-1 Chelsea, and maybe Abraham to return.
The form is suggesting 2-0 to Chelsea. We've got Tobias saying 3-1 Chelsea, Youssef 3-0, Shano 2-0, Gabriel Derop 2-0. One Rovers vlog, along with Christophe Demure, 2-2, a high-scoring game. I don't know where the goals are coming on from for Newcastle. And Matt D 3-1. Talking of Hudson-Odoi, I actually was thinking of potentially bringing him back. We know how good this particular player is. The fact that Pulisic is out, maybe Hudson-Odoi could take his chance.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's weird. I think was it last January he was linked with a move to Bayern Munich, and they were really keen to sign him. And then he sort of started to come in form again for Chelsea and started to play really well. Got some good returns. Yeah, I think it's a differential worth looking at.
Newcastle fan Statman saying that I'm backing a surprise 2-1 victory to Newcastle. Don't think we've got the worst record against Chelsea, and it's just a hunch for him. Right.
I hope Newcastle do win. I hope they do win because they've got a great set of fans and I hate Chelsea. So up the Newcastle boys. I'm sure Geordie Kev will love that. But yeah, I don't know. Just think Chelsea's going to win.
Ryan going with an incredible 4-1, saying that Tammy Abraham could easily have had a hat-trick versus Burnley. Well, talking of Burnley, the final time I'm bringing this out, final time, it's this bunch of clowns versus Leicester. However, I honestly think that we're going to beat them, Dan. I just have this gut feeling that our results of late have been catastrophic in the sense of defensively. We have just been allowing teams to score against us. Just quite simply, just here's the ball, just kick it in the back of the net. That penalty that was given away by Ben Mee. I can't remember specifically who it was, but just some defensive. God, just clear the ball on against Chelsea. It just seemed in my head, just get the ball gone. And Nick Pope, of course, not being able to save the most basic save. But I just have this feeling that Sean Dyche is going to lay into his players. And there's something about Leicester, Dan, which, yeah, they've been ticking along, but 1-1, was it 1-1 against Aston Villa in the League Cup and they lost on penalties? Remind me, or did they lose? I know it was
that's the first leg. They still got the second leg.
Yeah, but they still drew though, didn't they? 1-1.
Yeah, they drew with Norwich at home and obviously lost to Southampton at home.
Yeah.
Drew, as you said, that they've had some sort of disappointing results against teams that you may kind of expect them to beat, really, when teams kind of put up a brick wall against them. So I know what you're saying, but I think we're going to get a reaction from Leicester, and I think Burnley are going to lose. Sorry, I hope Burnley win, but I think Leicester's going to. I've still got Vardy, hoping he does something. Hopefully Vardy does something and Burnley win. There you go. We'll both be happy, but I'm going to say 2-0 to Leicester, I'm afraid.
Yeah, there's not much hope in the chat here. Charlie's actually agreeing with me. He's saying 2-1 to Burnley. Tobias, Youssef, Yassine, Patois, the Don. They're all going Chelsea. They're all going Leicester. Vince Chapman making an amusing point. Whenever Steve-O says that his team are going to get battered, that means I'm going to captain Vardy again now. I have a feeling, Ryan making the point, I have a feeling that Leicester will struggle at least a draw for Burnley this week. Leicester's momentum has disappeared. Yeah, I agree, since Liverpool trashed them. And do you think that Leicester, before Liverpool, destroyed them basically, do you think there was this tiny inkling that that Leicester thought they could potentially win the league if they'd beaten Liverpool, but because they were beaten so comprehensively, it was almost like, nah, we're not in this, and let's just leave it to Liverpool and City?
Yeah, I think that particular game, it was like, there was that, it was an evening game and everyone was talking, saying that Liverpool could finally lose the game, and then they just got annihilated. And I think that's just really knocked their confidence, but they've still got a top 4 place to play for. So, yeah, they've kind of got to bounce back. But I think at that point in time, say if Leicester had got even like a draw against Liverpool, it's still kind of like, you never know, we could catch them up. But Liverpool obviously sailed away and they're just unbelievable at the moment. But Leicester have still got to play for that top 4. They don't want to lose ground on that. And, let's be honest here, at the start of the season, if you say Leicester were challenging for a Champions League place come January, they'd be biting your hand off. So still having a great season. They're just having a bit of a slip at the moment.
Yeah, Josh A and Hicks76 essentially saying that ever since, basically Man City and Liverpool beat them, that it's been almost like a reality check for Leicester. Here's a question for you, Dan. Do you see Leicester actually dropping out of the top 4?
No, not really. I just think, like, in terms of the league, obviously we know Liverpool, Man City are going to finish in the top 2, and then the league is just so inconsistent. Like the teams below that, Man United aren't consistent, Tottenham aren't consistent. I think Chelsea will get in there just about, But I think Leicester will. No, I think Leicester will make the top four. 2-0 to Leicester, I'm afraid.
I actually muted myself. Just to repeat that, for nobody that did actually hear that game, I was just mentioning the history for Jamie Vardy. I was just saying that 6 starts, only 2 goals, which included the 1 goal that he got this season. Now, finally, moving on, obviously, to big game this particular game week. It's let's be honest here, it's the derby. It's Liverpool versus Man United. This is what all Liverpool fans seem to want to play now. Is against United. And Dan, take it away. What are your thoughts on this particular fixture? Are United going to be the team to stop the Invincibles?
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? At the moment, just kind of hoping Liverpool lose a game just so we can hold on to something like 15 years ago or 16 years ago, whatever it is now. But no, I think Liverpool, obviously, a lot of people were troubled up on their assets, in preparation for the double game week. Man United obviously did get the draw at Old Trafford and played really well. So I think United will give them a game. And certainly not, it won't be a walkover for Liverpool, not like last season. But you never know what you're going to get with Man United. Like a few weeks ago, they beat Man City away, and they beat Tottenham, and then they lost to us, and they lost to Watford, and then they smashed Norwich. So I think we'll give it a good go. Rashford's going to be dangerous, but I'm going to say it's going to be 2-1 to Liverpool.
A lot of people are obviously confident on a victory for Liverpool here. We've got Petois saying 3-0, Charlie 3-0, Geordie, Statman, Armand Dillon going 1-1, FPL Anderson 3-0 to Liverpool. Chelsea Flyer, I think he's trolling, but you never know. It could happen. 2-1 to United. Daniel making the point here, agreeing with the Don, in big, bold capital letters, Liverpool will finally lose the first time this season. How much of a percentage do you put on that, Dan?
Like 5% maybe. I just, United, I mean, they did get, like I said, last season, they got a win at PS. I know it's last season now, talking about the past there, but they got the 3-1 win at PSG. They won 2-1 at Man City. So they can do these kind of counter-attacking away performances under Solskjaer. So it's not, but Liverpool with their home record and United, you never really know what you're going to get. I just think Liverpool are going to win. But it's a derby game, so maybe United can prove me wrong, and Rashford can get some decent returns, and maybe it could be a draw. But I can't see United winning. But come Sunday, if United do win, I'm sure Jason will be loving life once again.
Well, Jason's making the point here that United will have a good chance to win this, as they love playing possession-based teams with a high defence, and he thinks that it will just end 2-1 just for Liverpool. Just quickly going over what you were just saying there. I mean, obviously that Liverpool will be pushing forward TAA and Robertson. We all know what Salah and Mane, Firmino are like. Can United take advantage of this high defence, or do you just think that the quality shown throughout this season, of course, going into last season, that Liverpool will do, as we always like to say, a professional job, a bit like what they did with them against Spurs? I mean, there were some moments where if Spurs had their shooting boots on, they could have actually beaten Liverpool, but thankfully that didn't happen. And there were a few hiccups in the defence there. I think they were, for me, it almost seemed like how can I say this, like a big occasion for Liverpool. I don't know why, they were just making little silly mistakes here and there when they should have just... Well, there was a moment, wasn't there, where I think it was Alisson or Van Dijk going absolutely mental at his defenders, just saying, just what you're doing, just calm down, you know. Do you think that'll be the case here? Do you think they would have learnt from that Spurs game and it is just going to be a very low-scoring game?
I just think, the atmosphere is going to be electric at Anfield, and let's be honest, Liverpool are going to win the league, and they're going to be Klopp's going to be drilling it into them, and they're going to be so up for it. But they do, against Tottenham, they dominated possession, particularly in the first half. They had they were in control of the game, but Dele Alli had a chance, and then Son had a chance. Lo Celso had a brilliant chance. So even though Liverpool were dominating the game, Spurs were creating chances in that particular match, and United can score. It could be an interesting game, but Liverpool attacking wise, we know Mane, Salah, Firmino, who's been in really good form of recent as well. He's an interesting potential differential there. But yeah, I'm sticking to my guns. I'm going to go 2-0 Liverpool.
And that is a hat-trick, would you believe? So the form, myself and you, we're all going 2-0 to Liverpool. The popular captain choice, the fifth one, was Salah. Started 6 times against Liverpool. Dan, can you guess how many returns Salah has got versus Liverpool versus Man United in 6 games, which includes a friendly?
I'm going to guess at 4 goals and 2 assists. I'm completely guessing, by the way. I don't have a clue.
Unfortunately, for people like me, it's 0. Absolutely 0.
Oh, wow.
So, unfortunately, Salah has returned absolutely nothing in 6 starts for Liverpool versus Man United, which did include a friendly. And, it's not going to be pleasant for people like me who are considering captaining. But now then, just to quickly go over the history, just briefly, essentially, I'll just cut it short. If you're going to be captaining anybody, it will be either Sterling or Kevin De Bruyne. Sterling, 5 starts, 1 sub-appearance, 5 goals, 1 assist. Obviously, Jason with us now, he got rid of Sterling, but he brought in the next best option, which was Kevin De Bruyne. 2 goals, 4 assists across exactly the same as Sterling, 5 starts and 1 sub-appearance. Hassan, I will address that. Quick question, Steve. You say that you don't care FPL, but you do in-depth analysis shows essentially that you do care for it all. If you can tell me where we've mentioned FPL in any of that, please let me know, because my basic understanding is that we haven't touched upon FPL, have we, Dan?
I touched on it a little bit in terms of talking about assets, potential assets, and double game weeks, but predominantly football talk. I'd say 80% football, 20% FPL. Yeah,
and as I mentioned, Hassan, at the end of the day, I want to talk football, and I do enjoy doing these streams. These are facts. As you've clearly only just joined the stream just now, and if you have been with us the whole time, you wouldn't have asked me that question, but I will address it. I did mention at the start of the show, well, Dan kind of asked me the question, that essentially I've given up with our Cash Mini League. The Cash Mini League is completely fact. I'll bring it up. Why not? Let's just bring it up, shall we? Be a lot easier for myself. So if we just quickly go into this. These are the kind of people that I'm having to face in the Cash Mini League right now. Absolutely mad. I'm about 130 points off 4th spot, which is Mr. Anderson. Right there. He's on 1,337 points, along with our man Dylan, who's here live right now, and then we've got Sultan Saeed and Juggernaut. There is no way in hell I'm getting anywhere near those top 4 places. So what I mean is why I don't care is the simple fact that I used to do a lot of research. I used to do quite a bit of research into who to captain, who's got the best stats, who flaming performs best away, home, blah 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 blah. Now it's just like whatever. I barely look at anything to do with fantasy football anymore. I rarely go on the fantasy football site. It's the most basic research possible. As I said to Dan earlier on, I'm not going to sabotage my team for the sake of for a laugh. I'm not going to deliberately be bringing in, I don't know, more to the point, I won't be captaining Williams just for do you know what? I just feel like a laugh because I just don't care anymore.
Well, if you,
yeah, I know.
If you'd have done that the last game, it would have been good.
Yes, of course. I am going to be making, I say logical decisions. I mean, every logical decision I've made this season has completely backfired. But the point being is that, the reality being is that I enjoy doing these streams. I enjoy talking to my mates like Dan. I enjoy talking to people like, for instance, people in the chat like now, like Geordie Kev. My co-host Jason, I enjoy having communication with live on the show. People like Vince Chapman, FPL Booner, Davey P, G Wiz, James Bang of all people. Earlier on I was just briefly chatting with him and everything. These are the people that I like to talk to because it's just enjoyable. It's an enjoyable conversation, and at the end of the day, if you have an issue with the fact that I'm doing this right now, then you may as well just go. It's just pointless because I just want to talk to a mate of mine with X amount of people watching this, just to enjoy a conversation about talking football. Anyway, moving on to fantasy football. We'll bring up your team, Dan. We'll bring it up. We'll enjoy what your team is. It is, once I can actually bring it up here up on screen. I'm assuming this is the team you're going with, Dan. Kevin De Bruyne, captain. You've already mentioned a 3-5-2 formation. So for people listening on just quickly, Foster in goal, Soyuncu, Sidibe, Alexander-Arnold, Mane, Salah, Traore, De Bruyne, Sarr, Calvert-Lewin, Vardy, and then on the bench, it doesn't really matter who's on the bench, but Kevin De Bruyne captain.
Yeah, feel quite confident with Kevin De Bruyne captain, given how an amazing season that he's had this year. But I am, as I said before, I am kind of debating getting rid of Calvert-Lewin and getting Ings in, but to do that I've got to get rid of Traore as well and get Dendoncker in. So just because Ings, I just think the way he's playing at the moment.
But then of course, looking at that would mean then you'd have to play a 4-4-2 and play Lundstrom or Kelly. Yes,
yeah, possibly. So it's all, I don't know. I'm gonna have a little think about that one because the thing with Ings is he's had such an amazing season, but he has been injury prone. He's got a history of being injury prone, so that's my concern with that one. But I mean, at the moment, I have, if you look at that team at the moment, I haven't done any transfers, and it's not a bad team. Calvert-Lewin, I said, against West Ham, Traore against Southampton. Pleased with the Watford assets as well. Hopefully, Sarr can get some returns against Tottenham. So when I look at all those players playing, I'm like, well, it's not too bad at the moment, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I look at that team, and obviously you wildcarded last week. We've now moved on a week, so to speak. Are you happy you wildcarded, or do you wish you just stuck with the team that you had?
Hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Really, but like I did say, it's just I double game week coming up. I wanted to get Salah in. I had to get rid of Heaton. I had to get rid of Kane because of injuries. Mora, Zaha, where not doing a lot, and I didn't feel very confident in them. So I had a lot of fires to put out, as Jason would say, and I wanted to get that treble up on the Liverpool players for double game week. So I'm content with it. I wouldn't say I'm ecstatic. The fact that I'm thinking of taking a hit. I mean, I could play Dendoncker, against Southampton. If I did get him in, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. So I could still stick to 3-5-2. But I mean, I look at my team. I think it's okay. Possibly, the likes getting the two Watford boys in, that was a bit of a differential in terms of the mini league. That's
funny you say that. I think Foster and Sarr, I think they're cracking buys for you.
Yeah, I've been watching Sarr. I've been seeing how well he's been playing, and just thought, you know what? I looked at my team. It is a fairly template team, but I thought Sarr, Foster's kind of a little bit of a gamble. And I mean, people watching this will be thinking about their rank. I don't care about my rank, you know. As long as I finish in the top 6 million, I'm happy. What I care about is finishing, you know, hopefully above yourself or Jason in the Cash Mini League, you know, or Dale or Simon. You know, it's those rivalries that you have in Cash Mini Leagues with your friends that you take seriously. That's what I want to do now, is finish as high as I can in the league. And to do that, I've got to take a few risks. So, yeah, it's okay. It's all right. But Calvert-Lewin, I don't know, man. I don't know how much I trust this guy.
Well, we've already discussed they're away at West Ham United. It's not exactly going to be the easiest fixture. I predicted 1-0. You said 2-0. The form suggesting 1-1. Many people were thinking that it's probably good. Well, actually, a lot of people were agreeing with you, actually, that it could end 2-0, sorry, or certainly in an Everton victory. I mean, somebody that I'm actually seriously going to bring in is actually Richarlison, but we'll get onto that in a minute. I mean, I'm looking at your team here. You're on 1,174 points. I mean, fourth spot is, well, it's so far out of your reach. I mean, I'll ask you regarding, I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, you think I'm doing bad in the Elite FPL, in the Elite Cash Mini League. I mean, you're obviously 26 points worse off than me. Let's just turn it around to this particular mini league, the Torbay Elite one. Do you have any hope that you're going to get a fourth spot, or do you just think that's just completely gone?
Just no chance. It's depressing, man. I need to do a Jason Aguero. Don't worry, that's the last time we'll mention that. But like, well, the last time I'll mention it anyway. But like, I need to do something like that and pull it out of the bag. But realistically, no chance. Hopefully, you know, push up in the league a little bit. Maybe get like a game manager of the month award, should I say, or like a highest scoring game week of the season. That'll be nice. But no, I mean, I don't know. The season's passing me by a little bit, and it is frustrating. But FPL was a cool game. Like, I think a few months ago I was doing relatively well. I was like 7th in the Cash Mini League. I wasn't very far off the top 4, and then I had like 3 really bad game weeks, and I just went down. So I'm just going to keep playing, just keep enjoying the game as much as I can, and just let's see what happens. I mean, if there was that triple game week, if I still had a triple captainship for that game week, who knows? But no, probably not.
No, I mean, I've still got a relative chance of getting fourth. I'm 59 points off fourth spot, so
that's catchable.
It's catchable, but yeah. Anyway, let's just quickly. Everybody's dying to know what my team is. I'm just sticking with Salah captain. There may be a chance that I go with No, I'm not. I'm sticking with Salah captain. I think that
Salah.
Yeah, I think that I think he's the main. Well, one of the. It's either going to be him or Mane, but I just think, you know what, stuff it. And this is my point about.
But I thought, didn't you say the history of Salah against Man Utd?
Yeah, that's exactly my issue. Salah's history versus United is terrible. So I'm actually now thinking, do I go with what the history suggests, which is Kevin De Bruyne, but it's a 3 p.m. kickoff. I can't stand captaining a player in the 3 p.m s. Salah last game. I remember when it was Mane. If you remember, it was Liverpool versus I can't even remember who for that last game of the evening. And Mane did me so proud. I may even stick it on him. I'm even seriously tempted of going Trent Alexander-Arnold. I really am. I need to do something which is differential. And if I've already got De Bruyne, so I'm kind of happy with that. Something that I'm actually, you asked me earlier actually about how I decide to do my transfers and stuff. Well, something that I'm seriously thinking of doing, and going on what we've just discussed about Leicester, is I'm not confident in their assets anymore. And I'm actually seriously tempted of getting rid of Maddison and Sunchu, bringing in Richarlison, and then working out which defender I could bring in. I believe I've got 4.5 exactly to spend on that. Now, you know, if I was to just, for example, just bring up defenders and just go with 4.5, the highest scoring one, for example, is Egan of Sheffield United. And then I was looking at maybe bringing in a Watford defender because of their, as we know, their form. But there isn't that many options at 4.5, unfortunately. But Cathcart could be the one that I could bring in just as like a... I mean, when we look at Richarlison's or Everton's fixtures, for example, West Ham, Newcastle, Watford, Crystal Palace, Richarlison could do very well in those particular fixtures. Over the last 3 games, he's got 2 goals and 1 assist. Just your quick immediate thoughts on that -4 as an example, taking out Maddison and Sontju for Richarlison and whoever.
Might be worth copying. Don't worry, I
wouldn't bother copying anything I do. Anyway. Christ, do you want to plummet even further?
No, I think I can see, like you said, you've got to take these risks to kind of make up that 59-point gap in the top 4 in the Cash Mini League. I mean, Richarlison's been doing well recently. Obviously, got that brilliant goal against Brighton. He has been frustrating to own as an FPL asset in the past for myself and my own team, but he can return. And those fixtures of Everton are good. That's why I've doubled up on their players. And I mean, it's just like when you're saying about another cheap defender.
Well, talking of cheap defenders,
I mean, I can honestly see Leicester keeping a clean sheet on Sunday. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, people are mentioning in chat this Tanganga of Tottenham. Now, I'm not gonna claim that I know anything about him. I remember Jason saying on the FPL Live when I was listening to it this morning from Saturday that Tanganga starting is that mad. Bruce saying could be a good option, but for 4 million. Why did he play, for example? Do we know?
He played last night, and he played well. Like he looked
apparently man of the match yesterday as well.
Yeah, he did look. They were talking him off on the match of the day at half time. They were really saying he had a really good performance. I'm not. Maybe Boona can elaborate on this if he's still with us. I'm not totally sure why he's playing. But yeah, in the 2 games that I've seen, obviously the 2 games I've watched on his last 2 matches, and he's acquitted himself very well. So, I know they've got Norwich after that game and possibly could get a clean sheet there. And he did look quite, attacking-wise, he looked quite good as well. So at 4 million, could be worth a punt if it could fund that move for Richarlison.
The problem is that it's just the threat of rotation, let's be honest here. And Vince Chapman asking a very good question. And do you know what? I actually will answer it with a yes, but we'll ask you. And the question is quite simply this. For a 1-week punt, would you bring in Sterling for one of either Mane or Salah and captain them?
Yeah, actually, I probably would, thinking about it. I had to think then. It's just will Sterling definitely start on the weekend?
Well, talking
That's
of which,
what I'm worried about. But
talking of Sterling captains, and maybe Vince, you may want to perk your ears up now, because I'm going to be bringing on Charlie just briefly. We'll be able to find out from Charlie why he is specifically going with Sterling captain. Maybe he brought him in. Who knows? But evening, Charlie.
Evening, Steve. How you doing?
You're going with Sterling captain Vince Chapman has asked us, would we consider swapping out Mane/Salah for Sterling and do a captaincy on him? Tell us why you're going with him as captaincy, and you obviously did your. In fact, I've seen you've done it. You did your wild card, and then you've done your transfers, and you brought Ings in.
Yeah, I brought Ings in. Yeah.
Okay. We'll ask straight away the first question, which is about Sterling. Go for it. Why are you captaining him?
Just his record. I know a lot of people have said in chat that his form hasn't been the best. Like he's missed chances, but a lot of the time the history don't lie. And like you said, he's got 5 goals.
Yes.
And 1 assist. So even though because he's only got 2 home goals this season.
Really?
I checked it because I've been in an RM, but his history is good. So usually the history doesn't really lie, even with like captains really. But yeah, he's only got 2 home goals. One was against Villa, and the other was against Tottenham, I believe. And all the other goals have come away from home.
What was remind me what you predicted for the Man City game?
4-0 Man City.
You went 4-0, so you think there's a very, very high chance of obviously Sterling getting... I mean, Dan's just asked a question, will he start? Do you think he will start?
Yeah, he's got to start. He can, they haven't got a game, until, 4 days after that, I think, or is it a week? And obviously he didn't play any minutes against Villa, so yeah, I reckon he's got to start really. He can't be benched for 2 games in a row, surely.
But who's going to drop, considering they've just scored 6 past Aston Villa? Who's he going to drop from that team, if anybody?
Well, I reckon they either keep the same formation and maybe just drop Jesus, maybe, because he can't drop Aguero. Like, no chance after that.
What do you think on that, Dan?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like I think if I can see Charlie Sorchikin doing it because of the history, but Jesus is playing well at the moment as well.
Yeah,
so
true.
It's Good evening, Charlie. It is I'm good, apart from my team, but yeah, it's a risky one. But to be fair, like we've just said, at this stage, this business end stage of the season, you've got to take these calculated gambles. So I mean, I haven't got the balls to do it, but if you've got the balls to do it, then fair play.
Yeah, I think it's a good option. Obviously, there's De Bruyne as well. It was obviously owned 30% more than Sterling. I think Sterling's like 21%. But I mean, a lot of people obviously are gonna go Vardy, but I just have that feeling, like you, Steve-O, that he didn't even have any shot against Southampton, even though Southampton's defence has been good or whatever. He's obviously just come back from injury, and obviously his wife had the baby as well. So I'm not really that confident in Leicester. They've looked quite poor.
Yeah,
so.
You predicted 2-1 Burnley as well, didn't you?
Yeah. I think the same as you. I think Deutsche, is. I think the run's going to come to an end because obviously they have been on a bad run, and usually they are better at home. And against their record against Leicester, they haven't really conceded loads. I think in like recent history as well. And I just think obviously Deutsche should be the one to get into them and stop the rut.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on me potentially, again, it's very, very unlikely I do this, but bringing in Richarlison for Maddison and getting rid of Soyuncu and bringing in whoever? Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it could be a good idea. I mean, Leicester they've got a few decent fixtures after the Burnley game, and then it goes a bit,
South.
Chelsea and that. Yeah, but I think it's a good option because I haven't got Maddison and Soyuncu anymore. I done my wild card last week, and they're both out of my team.
Well, Dan,
I mean, it could be a good option.
Dan's done his wild card. You've done yours. Now, obviously, Dan, you said that you didn't want to take a -4, didn't you, after your wild card?
Not really, if I can avoid it, because the point of a wild card is to set your team up for like game weeks after then. Really, if I have to, I have to, because I keep thinking about Ings. But it's just, like I said, it's just frustrating doing your wild card and then thinking, oh crap, I've got to do a -4. It'll be nice to have a couple of game weeks not taking hits and then possibly, have a couple of transfers for the following game week, really, or the double game week, I should say.
Charlie, on Jason's Sunday surgery, you mentioned the fact that you wish you brought in Ings instead of having Jimenez. You've actually brought in Ings. Did you? Sorry, have you actually done a -4 after your wild card, or is it just the?
No. Just
Ings?
Jimenez to Ings, and then I got 0.8 in the bank.
Are you now happy with your team, or is it just a case of why did a wild card?
Yeah, I am happy. The only annoying thing that in the wild card, like I was going on with Jason as well, is the fact that I didn't have a full plan. That's what sort of hurt me, because I wanted, like, Mahrez was in so many of my drafts, and when he got them 2 goals and the assist, I was like,
when I was listening to this, the question I wanted Jason to ask was, why did you not keep him then, or did you just? It's the usual line, isn't it? Did you just follow a sheep mentality and just think he just wasn't trustworthy enough?
Yeah, sort of. I knew he'd been on good form, but even that, like Pep, he could do anything. But I've got, obviously I bought in Sterling. Hopefully he can repay me, because I literally got him in. I got Sterling in for these 2 games, the Villa game, where obviously he didn't play any minutes, and then the Palace game. And then my plan is to do Sterling to Mane, so then I can have double midfield,
right.
Liverpool. So yeah, hopefully he can repay me this week. But yeah, hopefully it can go well and try and catch the top 4 again.
So the question for you, Dan, and we'll just get a simple yes or no, just quickly, is should Vince Chapman do Mane/Salah, either one, it doesn't really matter, to Sterling and captain him, yes or no?
No.
Charlie?
Is it for a minus?
I'm assuming it's for free. I'm assuming it's for
transfer?
free. Let's just assume it's free.
I think for free, then possibly, but I think Liverpool will score a few goals, and Mane or Salah, whoever he's got, will be in with one of the goals. So maybe do it, but it's up to you. I couldn't really say. It's a hard choice, to be honest with you. But I mean, all I can say is just go with your gut. If you think Sterling's going to do well like I do, then just bring him in. If you think Liverpool aren't going to score that much, then yeah, just bring him in. Really.
We talked about the FA Cup game, Dan, that's happening tonight between Wolves and Man United. Is that on TV by any chance?
I don't think it is. No, I think it will be on BT Sport.
No?
Other sports channels are available.
Well, thanks to Paulie. Thanks to Paulie saying that the starting. Just get your reaction to this. What do we call it? Dan is the starting lineup is Romero in goal, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, Williams, midfield of Matic, Fred, Mata, Daniel James, and up front it's Martial and Greenwood. Obviously no Rashford there, but it looks like and barring David De Gea, it looks a pretty strong United lineup.
Yeah, I think Solskjaer wants to get a trophy this season, and that's a fairly strong lineup. It is interesting. Your mate Brandon Williams starting again. Greenwood's, that'll be interesting, because I've obviously still got him in my squad, and a couple of times I've played him and he hasn't played. And then when I haven't played him, he's scored, particularly at home. So I reckon Greenwood, like I said, I think it'll be a tight game tonight. I think it'll be a decent game to watch. But with the injuries or the players that Wolves aren't playing. Well, actually, tell me the Wolves lineup, because I'm talking about it. But
unfortunately, Paulie hasn't posted it. Paulie, if you wouldn't mind posting the Wolves, or anybody in chat, if you wouldn't mind posting at the Wolves team at the moment. But just to let you two know, Vince Chapman says that it was for free and that he's going to be doing this. So Vince Chapman said that he is actually going to be transferring out one of Mane and Salah for Sterling and captain him. And here he is straight away. Cheers, Paulie. Really appreciate it. Nice copy and paste there. To be honest, it looks like a full strength Dan and Charlie, barring Patrizio. So Ruddy in goal, and then it's Dendoncker, Cody, Saiss, Doherty, and then Neves, Matinho, Johnny, Traore, and then Jimenez and Neto up front.
Yeah, strongest lineup.
So
strong team. No Bowley, but yeah, strong team.
With that in mind, you predicted 2-1 to United, Dan. Are you tempted to change your opinion on that, or do you think it's still United to edge it?
I mean, Wolves have got a great record against Man United.
Yeah.
I don't think they've beat them in the last 5 games. I think I read that earlier on today. So I'm just going with my gut instinct. I think United will just edge it. I reckon Greenwood could get a goal. So there's a little betting tip. Gamble responsibly, of course. But yeah, I'm gonna go 2-1 to Man United. I think it'll be a tight game, but they'll just edge it.
Just a quick one from you, Charlie. What do you think on tonight's game?
Well, hopefully it's not like the last game. That was one of the worst games I've ever watched in my life.
Yeah, it's tough.
I think Wolves will edge it because I think they've just, even though they've been a bit, poor recently, obviously struggles against Newcastle. I just think away from home, and obviously they got a decent record against United. I think they just edge it 2-1, and Jimenez will probably score after not scoring for me.
Of course,
the other week.
Of course, Jacko. Good evening, pal. He reckons it's going to go to penalties. Charlie, just final one before we let you go. Are there any games this particular... In fact, I've got 2 questions for you, actually. So the first question being, are there any games that are going to be sticking out for you where you just think that it is going to be not as to what we expect? So, for example, you said Man City are going to win 4-0.
Yep.
Are there any games that could be that, actually everybody's predicting X, but really it's probably going to end up as Y, so to speak? Newcastle Chelsea springs to mind. Everybody's predicting a Chelsea win, but
yeah, I said 2-2.
Wow.
I'm not. Yeah, I think maybe that one because Newcastle, they've done, not too bad against the big teams at home this season. They drew with Man City. Not many teams do that. So yeah, maybe that game. The Burnley game as well. I still still positive on Burnley getting either a draw or a win against Leicester. But yeah, apart from that, I think everything's either a definite Y or a no. But
I just mentioned to Dan. Sorry, I've now got 3 questions for you. I just mentioned to Dan at the fact that me and him have got absolutely nothing to. Well, we've got potential of getting something in our other Cash Money League, but in this specific one that you're part of, the Elite Challenge League, you are. What are you? 37.
8th, I think.
Right, 46 points or 4th, something like that, roughly, give or take.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself catching any of these guys? Well, 4th spot specifically, or do you think now after you having such a good start, it's just out of your hands?
Nah, I'm still hopeful of finishing in the top 2.
Top 2?
Yeah, there's loads of time,
There's fighting talk, everybody. Played.
It can easily be done. Jason got like a massive score and he's gone up loads. That other guy that Pepe picked,
Austin Edwards, yeah.
Yes, something ridiculous. Like he went from what 28.
I think it was 32nd actually.
Or 32nd to one place above me. So that just tells you anything can happen. Like hopefully this week Sterling can be a part of that journey to try and get closer, but yeah, there's still loads there.
You got your free hit and bench boost available. I know we don't really need to go into depth about it, but just a simple question is just a one-word answer, yes or no. Are you going to be using one of the 2 in the double game week 24?
Probably not. I might have a little think about it.
That's all we need because we got next week to discuss all that when we get you on.
Yeah.
The other question from I'm going to lie from a self indulgent point of view.
Yeah.
Just your honest opinion on the Match of the Day challenge that happened on Monday, whatever it was. Genuinely, what do you think? Like,
I think it's quality. I think it's...
Do it with me then.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there might be... I might have to do it because it's so hard. Like, I'd literally have to go out of my house like the whole day because I got my brother in my ear talking about the scores, but I got to do it once. But yeah, it's quality. I think, like you said, that there's a lot of people that say like, "Oh, you and Jason are like faking it." Like it's impossible. Like I don't have a clue. I don't have a clue. Honest to God. But
they're called trolls, to be honest with you. What does I'll say this now. What does shock me though is that it's actually people that watch me and Jason, like our streams on a regular. It'd be the equivalent of you saying that we're faking it, and it's just like
yeah.
But
yeah, I know, it's crazy.
But would you ever? I mean, I asked this on. I don't know if you. I don't think you are, but I asked this on a members video, the Playmaker one, asking any members to do it with me one day. Would you ever be tempted to do it, or would it just, in your case, it would just be impossible, like you've just mentioned?
No, I think I'd definitely do it. I'd want to try it. Just the fact that you have to wait till Match of the Day to know everything about your team, and yeah, it'd be really, really good. I mean, it'd be nervous breakdown like the whole day, but yeah, it'd be definitely be a good opportunity and a good laugh to do it, to be honest.
Well, Hicks76 is saying he's going to be apparently doing it this particular weekend, and Paulie's saying I'd be tempted to do it, just would be finding it hard to avoid the results. Charlie, really appreciate you coming on this evening. We're gonna end it here now, so really do appreciate it. Cheers, dude.
Yeah, cheers for letting me on, mate.
Cheers, man.
Cheers,
Charlie.
Take it easy.
Later, Dan.
There we are.
Bye.
There's Charlie there. One Rovers vlog, as he's named in the what do we call it? The chat. Absolutely fantastic. Dan, yes, like I said, I'm gonna wrap it up here. I think that there's a lot for us to take away from tonight's show. It's been absolutely fantastic. In fact, some people are suggesting that maybe I do Maddison and Soyuncu out for Richarlison and Stevens of Southampton. Who knows? But we will find out in the near future what exactly I do. Dan, do you want to go away and promote the Instagram page that you do? Tell us what you do on it and everything.
Yeah, of course. So obviously, Elite FPL on Instagram, and keep an eye on the stories, as I always say. So obviously, when you guys go live, I will do a story, and there's always a music track on the story that links in with the theme of the game week, or the kind of something that's happened, you know.
Can you give an example of this?
Yeah, sure. So when Ings got a haul the other week, I put on a Southampton song, you know, when the Saints are coming in. When Wolves beat Man City, I had a Selena Gomez song on when the Wolves come. So yeah, just a little bit of fun with that, really. But it's just another way for you guys to keep in touch with when Jason and yourself go live, really.
Absolutely, and on that note, I'm going to call it a wrap. Would you believe, Dan, we've been going on for 2 hours?
Yeah, I'm quite hungry, but it has gone quick.
Time flies when you are having fun. Anyhow, everybody, yeah, like I said, we are going to wrap it up there. Really do appreciate you all joining us. Like I said, tonight was a bit of a special, in-depth preview on tonight's game. Once again, I just want to say thank you to Dan for joining me, discussing what he thinks will be happening at this particular game week, maybe giving you some general ideas of what may potentially happen, and maybe it could change your captaincy thoughts. Unlikely, but who knows? Anyhow, I'll just do the usual admin, everybody. It's the usual thing of, if you have enjoyed the stream, the easiest way to show support for what myself and Jason do is by simply hitting the like button, or of course in this case what myself and Dan have done. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter, as Dan's just said, at Elite FPL. Of course, if anybody is brand new completely around here, and you do enjoy what myself and Jason do, and you haven't subscribed to us, hit that subscribe button. Simple, really. Just helps the channel grow, as they say. And of course, what I did want to say is, if you really do want to share our stuff, by all means, share away. We do like to have a laugh regarding what we do. We do put up on Twitter funny videos and all that. In fact, I'll quickly bring up now. Up there on screen, I would put up the the sound, but unfortunately due to the fact there's a lot of swearing, and of course it crashes the second I bring it up, so that's a complete waste of time. But the point being is that on Twitter we usually just put up videos to take the mick out of ourselves in a humorous kind of way about what's happened on the streams or whatever. People like SMZ, James Bang, John Harris of late have been putting up various videos with various humorous moments. But just share with your friends and family, like I always say. But or any other FPL people that enjoy FPL, because we are a unique. In fact, Dan, I'm going to ask you again. Let's blow smoke up our backside, so to speak. I'll ask you, what makes you, apart from the bias towards the fact that you are friends with myself and Jason, tell the audience, if anybody's listening now new, why you enjoy the not only Elite FPL but the community that's you're part of.
It's just a great place to meet other lunatics that love playing FPL and torturing themselves every game week. No, it's a good. It's a really good. It's very immersive. That's what I've always said about Elite FPL. You do feel like you're part of a bigger community, and you get to know the other guys in chat. And there's the rivalry even with the Challenge League as well. There's so many things there's the Champions League, the score predictor. You and Jason are constantly trying to find different ways to innovate, and it's just that feeling of and I just love hearing people's thought processes on what they're going to do with their teams, and just you can't beat it, really. So subscribe, like and share and all that good stuff. Yeah,
absolutely. And I know someone has made this point about tomorrow evening, so I will make this point now that Jason will be doing a preview for this particular game week. Obviously we have different ways that we present, different presenting styles is the word I'm looking for, and obviously Jason will be doing his own preview show tomorrow evening, and that'll be I believe he said it's at 8:30. Basically I'll have been asleep for about 2 hours by that point, but anyways, it's not the point. Jason will be going live at approximately 8:30, but of course stay tuned on Twitter and obviously our YouTube channel, where we obviously advertise now when we're going live and everything, so you'll be able to come on and come along with Jason and see what he predicts and see what he thinks of the particular game week ahead, especially the being a Man United fan. He's already made the point that it's going to be a tight game, but you can have your say against him when when he said it's going to be a tight game, but a lot of people think that it's not going to be that case at all. They think that Man United are going to get battered, but whatever. But what I will say, again, if anybody's watching this right now, it's a bit of an exclusive in a way, is that my specific plan this game week is this. Now, I am going to be messaging Jason, so we could be co-hosting together. My specific plan for this game week is this. So on Saturday, I am going to be available to do a stream from approximately 4:15, 4:30ish. Now, I have no idea as it stands if Jason's going to be doing Saturday FPL Live. Now, obviously, there are a lot of games going on at 3 p.m. I think there's 6, maybe 7 games. I think there's 6 games at 3 o'clock. We've obviously got the early kickoff as well between Watford and Spurs. So that would have kicked off. Let me just quickly scroll down here. So, we've got 6 games at 3 o'clock. And I have no idea if Jason's going to be doing FPL Live or not. If he is, then I'll be able to join in at approximately 4:30ish. Now, what's going to happen is it's almost going to be like a mini match of the day challenge, because I'm going to deliberately avoid the results, so I may just jump in on the stream. If he's not streaming, then I'm going to stream from 4:30 onwards. But either way, find out what's going on. Then on Sunday, I'm definitely going to be wanting to cover the Liverpool versus Man United game. And then if Jason's with me, then we'll probably jump into Sunday surgery. Or if not, then Jason may do a separate stream that particular evening as well. And you never know, Jason may even do a late night one on Saturday as well. Who knows? But either way, there are going to be a lot of streams over the next few days. Other than that, everybody, I'm going to clear off and let you enjoy your evening. And yeah, other than that, cheers, Dan, mate.
Cheers, Steve-O. Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot.
See you later, everybody.